I got to ask for your reaction here. The House calling 3 out of 4 of these companies a monopoly and recommending laws that could lead to the breakup of these companies. What is your reaction?
Well, regardless of whether these laws come to pass, all of the tech giants will take note and it will dampen some of their extreme competitive efforts, which is good news for every company our size. We worry all the time about getting pushed down in Google results. We want to make sure that we're treated fairly in the App Store. And I think those companies are going to think twice about taking any kind of action that balances the market in their favor.
Just how much do you depend on Google and Apple for customers?
Google? A lot, a lot. We get about half our customers from Google. Apple, less so. I mean, obviously, both provide amazing platform technologies, but Google is the most important partner we have.
So speaking from the perspective of a developer, obviously, I use the Redfin app probably more than I should. But what is your perspective? We've heard a lot of developers say, look, this is not fair. They're charging us way too much. And other developers saying that's just the cost of doing business. Apple and Google should be able to charge us rent for the service that they provide.
Well, we aren't paying anything for Apple's App Store placement. We don't charge you to use the Redfin app, and Apple isn't getting a piece of that. So we can't complain. It's an amazing platform. Apple's an amazing partner. Obviously, if you're trying to monetize that traffic directly through the store and having payments that Apple takes a piece of, that is a totally different story. As for Google, we pay Google to appear. We also appear for free. That is the way the economy has been structured for a long time. And we just want to make sure that there's competition, that Bing and Google keep duking it out because they keep each other honest. If there were only one search provider and there were more advertised placements at the top of every search result, it would just make it harder and harder, especially for a new company, one smaller than Redfin, to beat our ass. And we don't want that. We want a wide open marketplace where the best real estate search technology wins. So I think it's really important just to keep it that way. You don't want to make this about capital. You want to make it about technology and the best consumer experience.
So speaking from the perspective of an entrepreneur who has built a company from scratch, do you think these companies are stifling innovation? I mean, is it possible for the next Redfin to stand a chance, given how these companies operate in that they own the marketplace, but also compete on the marketplace?
Well, I don't think you can blame Apple and Google for it. Just in general, incumbency on the internet has become much more valuable than it was 15 years ago. It used to be that a $1 billion company competing against a $5 million company didn't have a huge advantage because the $5 million company could build a better mousetrap. But now, if you have been in Google's index for a long time, if you have a huge marketing budget, if you have all these network effects, the chances that an upstart is going to take you on are much lower. And so I love the wild days of the internet back in 1999 and even 2005, when anyone who built a better site could get more traffic and build a great business. And I think that is slowly decaying over time. It is not Google's fault. It is not Apple's fault. It is just the nature of industries as they mature.
So we'll talk about real estate in a second, but I do just have one more question then. Do you believe that there should be laws passed?
These are our biggest partners. What?
Do you think these companies should be broken up?
Well, first of all, I'm not a legislator, so who is it for me to say? I'm also not the CEO of any of those companies. I try not to comment on businesses outside of our own. I think that it's important that these businesses accept boundaries, that untrammeled corporate power, whether I have it or anyone else does, is a threat to social well-being. So I think there are limits short of a breakup that can be effective, and that you use talk of a breakup to impose other types of limits on what kinds of companies you can buy, on what kinds of products you can promote on your own site. Without that hammer, I think some of the smaller regulatory efforts aren't going to be as effective. So I think the government's talking about it, but unlikely to actually break up these companies. And Microsoft shows us that just that conversation can be so deadly to the buccaneering culture of a Facebook and Amazon and Google. They have to spend more time thinking about their impact on society and less time thinking about how to conquer the world.